Andrei Verba, Pilgrimage to the Places of Buddha. How can yoga affect a person's karma? Lecture number 2. Om Ru. And now we will talk about something as important as why it is necessary to practice yoga. There is a point of view that when you start self-development, supposedly something is going on with your karma. Let's suppose there was a person's karma with which he lived, but as soon as he begins to engage in different self-improvement systems, this somehow impacts his karma. This is what the scriptures say. And naturally, as to any rational person, a question arises. Why does this improvement happen? Have you ever faced such a concept? Or maybe heard why this impact occurs? Any options? No? Austerity, maybe. How austerity can change your karma? Someone answers. I will try to repeat. There is a theory that when you start practicing, the energy flow changes, and therefore the mind starts working differently, and consequently this affects your karma. Basically, it sounds logical, but the mechanism is still not clear. So I'm going to tell you one version, one theory, which from my point of view has the right to exist. For this version, we need to consider the so-called human chakra system. Have you ever heard the word chakra before? Does everyone understand what chakra means? Or maybe there are those who don't understand. Different traditions and different schools say that there is a different number of them, starting from a huge number of chakras until 7, 9 or 12. So briefly, I will go through these chakras so you would have an idea of what's going on. We start from Muladhara, Svadhisthana, Manipura, Anahata, Vishuddha, Ajna and Sahasrara chakras. Such a basis is considered to be the easiest, but at least we will have the possibility to relate this subject and understand the human chakra system, that it does exist. In different traditions, these chakras are referred to in many different ways. Different properties and qualities are ascribed to them, different attributes as well. If you will try to study this matter on the internet, you'll find a large number of options regarding this topic. Such as that chakras are a type of optical media carrier of your preferences. That is, that each chakra is responsible for your behaviors with which you were consumed in past lives. There are some people who might not even have chakras, or could have them in a rudimentary state. So what does this tell us? One person can have these chakras, for example, others may not. This is how this theory explains it. If any individual was approximately from a human world in his past lives, or from a god's world or a demigod's world, then his behavior motivations were approximately the same as in the human world. And this person's each chakra, roughly speaking, is like a recorder that writes down his every obsession or any desire. For example, let's look at any chakra. Please, give an example. Anahata, for example, a human's chakra. Who remembers what are the properties of this chakra? To love, right? No. Just the same Anahata is my precious. Do you know this? My precious. This was in some movie, a ring, and some creature used to rub this ring. This is a classic situation of an attachment to Anahata chakra. Although this creature had a high level of greed, which also dominated at the level of Manipura chakra, most often it is a single object that most people are attracted to, some favorite object, and all the rest are secondary. Considering energy, this attachment to the object reveals itself when the energy rises to the Anahata chakra. And if the object of concentration is near, then the energy flow goes out. So at the moment when the energy flows out at his level of Anahata chakra, the petals are activated where the energy flows out, and the channels that are situated higher get thinner. How do I say this? They stop letting the energy flow. This is why an addiction is formed. This happens with any obsession or any desire. The more you will love one object or some single thing, the more you will form the habit of this love. Let's look at the level of Manipura chakra. A person likes, let's say, some product, some fruit for example, or whatever kind of meal. So when his energy will rise to the level of Manipura chakra, exactly this kind of meal will cause his chakra to tremble. And this will cause him to feel what he would call happiness. Do you understand? This is not some kind of nonsense. Indeed, when there is some object and he satisfies his passions, he calls it happiness. So specifically, this happiness determines the future habits of this person. When he will see any similar object that he had, he will have a desire to obtain that object again. Swadhisthana chakra. Surely you've heard that different people have different habits regarding sexual pleasures. There are even people who have untraditional orientation. You've probably heard about this. So now he's a man, but in a past life he was a woman, but in this life he was brought to a level of a man. And so he has a natural habit to show off and shine in a dress. I don't mean to harm anyone's feelings, but I'm not talking about pleasures, which they consider normal. Yes, it is normal for them, because a habit was formed. Or, for example, a woman was a man in a past life. In this life, she is a woman, but nevertheless, she likes to dominate. She likes to show certain qualities which are perceived slightly wrong from a society point of view. Does everyone understand what I'm talking about? Try to understand. I'm not saying that it's bad or good. It's always within the ideological problems for a certain category of people. For some, it's normal. For others, it's not. From the yoga perspective, basically, it doesn't matter who is doing what and how do they spend their leisure time. No problems there. Let's continue to Muladhara chakra. Such models of behavior as anger or hatred, there are people experiencing pleasure by causing pain to others. When they inflict any suffering, they really enjoy it. Practically, these are sick people, from a point of view of normal people. But the man has such a level of development that when he causes pain to someone, he really enjoys it. Why? The energy rises to Muladhara chakra and starts to flow out, and he is really happy because he is hitting someone, excuse the expression. Hence, all maniacs and all the people who, to put it mildly, do not behave adequately. Next above is Vishuddha chakra, right after Anahata chakra. This chakra is the main motivation for the fight or any confrontation. There are people who argue not because they are right, but because they enjoy the argument. And such a person will be trying to prove something. And there could even be a chance that he understands intuitively that he is wrong. But most often, they are like fanatics for proving something. The next two chakras, Ajna and Sahasrara, they are not ordinary chakras, because you may understand the qualities of Anahata chakra correctly. For example, everything that is above is not quite obvious to the most. Therefore, it is customary to discuss only the first 5 chakras. So, friends, how does the practice affect the change in a man's obsessions or desires? For example, a man was obsessed with some kind of meal. Please, name any meal with which a person could be obsessed. Any. Okay, ice cream. Maybe some kind of special sort? No? Okay, ice cream it is. When a person sees ice cream, He says, I'm beginning to drool. I can almost feel its delicious taste. It could be chocolates, cakes, anything that cause a person to lose his vital energy. When the energy comes to the Manipura chakra, and if a person is only interested in the amount and the volume, he needs, for example, 5 ice cream cones. This is Manipura chakra at work. But if he is interested in the taste, then this means it's Svadhisthana chakra. And he will be experiencing joy from the taste. But you all know that after he eats some amount of portions of this ice cream, the feeling goes away. Only after some time he will experience this addiction, this feeling again. So, friends, it's all treated through practice. Because when the energy flows to Svadhisthana chakra and the taste will cause you to desire something, then, if with the help of practice you will be able to raise the level of your energy, then the desire, this obsession, will disappear. This is why people practice yoga. If you see monks or people in robes around us, not all of them are monks. Some can be ordinary people dressed as them. Why do they practice these Tibetan prostrations? In Vedic culture, much earlier times than the Tibetan culture, these practices were called touching the ground with 5 body parts. So, they do it to raise the energy as high as possible, to break free from those obsessions and desires which they have gathered through their lives. Not only prostrations, any static practice, even meditation, allows the energy flow to go upwards. Many of you have already been on retreats. You probably noticed such a thing. When you even sit motionlessly, the energy somehow flows upwards to your head. Have you felt this? If anyone had this experience, please raise your hand. Why is this important? Because someone can hear this but not believe that it is possible. This is why I am asking. Please raise your hands. You see, almost half of the audience. This is not some kind of glitches or some notions. It's a real thing. That a hoop-shaped energy thing is formed around your head, and you can feel it as if you were wearing a hat. This is actually your vital energy that is streaming upwards to your head. And most importantly, if in the future you will practice and you will feel such an energy hat on your head, please notice that when your energy is at the top, you don't have any obsessions or any desires at the bottom. At this point, your perception of reality is tranquil. But of course, if you are addicted to something, then probably you will be interested in this something again soon. But when the energy is at the top, it's like a pledge that your taste addictions or any other addiction will be less interesting. About this part that we've discussed, does anyone have any questions or comments? As I understood correctly, when the energy rises, there will be changes in the obsessions and desires, correct? You can transform this energy into a new quality at the level of your head. Let's say the energy is at the lower chakras at this point. You can experience some feeling of happiness or pleasure, but in a human format. And let's say that your energy level is at the upper chakras. Then in meditation, you will be able to transform this energy into a new quality. I hope tomorrow we will be able to talk about meditation and ways to change your energy. The issue of alcohol addiction, what level is this? Svadhisthana chakra, the altered state of consciousness. When a person is in a sober state, he understands everything, but cannot control themselves. They like the drive, as they call it, when they drug themselves, not only with alcohol, any intoxicant, anything external, an addiction. That is, when a person needs to take something internally, something in any form, and a so-called euphoria is invoked. An attachment to this experience most likely reflects his Svadhisthana chakra, and partially Anahata. Because, for example, drinking people, they are the soul of the company. They become so kind, such greasy goodness, to put it mildly. But then you have to pay a very heavy toll for this kindness, to my great regret. Somebody says something? Yes, this is very common. It's not just you. I will try to repeat what this girl just said. She took some fasting. It doesn't matter which kind of system. There are a lot of them nowadays. But I've encountered that it doesn't matter what system of fasting people choose. I won't go into details, but the practice usually ends up with a breakdown. As the saying goes, the more a pendulum is drawn to one side, the further a person will be thrown to the other side, causing him to tear it up. It's not only with fasting, with sex too, or any other obsession, anything. That is, when a person holds himself, holds and holds, then a so-called breakdown occurs. Why? The energy wasn't raised. It is still at that level. Only with his power of will did he hold this energy for some time. But it's still there. It didn't go up, and the breakdown occurs. Not only in quantity, but this person starts searching for any justification for their overeating. And even more so, to put it mildly, they begin to lose human appearance. They begin to plump up most often, because if a person eats and then sleeps, then he will gain weight, with an almost definitely 100% chance. I know, that there are people who eat excessively and do not gain any weight, but still the process of overeating is not adequate. In general, what could be the solution here? If you feel that the sheer fasting or so-called cleansing does not change your habits, then this means that you may have actually cleansed at a level of physical body. But at the energy level, there were no changes. The energy has remained at the same level. I will give you an example. Have you ever loved through Anahata Chakra? Let's say a person appears in your life, and you love him or her with all your fibers of your soul. That when you love, you are not interested in your appetite or sleep. You love, and there's nothing else going on. Have you noticed this? But it's strange, right? It would seem that you are now in love. Where is your love for your beloved cake or anything else then? It turns out that it has transformed. Or, for example, you are in some kind of stress. Something tragic has happened in your family. Someone close to you died. A really emotional experience. At this moment, all your obsessions and desires go by the wayside. And you no longer like your favorite cake. It cannot please you anymore. So, if you have a higher level of energy, love is much higher than the simple eating. Or you go to a lower level, to the Svadhisthana chakra, through sexual pleasures. You will no longer be interested in your food for some time. You are currently forming another addiction, which will be forcing you the same way, not even on Manipura chakra, but you will find yourself running around like an addicted bobik, trying to find someone to hug. So you can experience that feeling. Because Manipura chakra gives you certain hormones experience of taste and pleasure, and love gives the same thing. These hormones, which cause a certain euphoria, are particular to a specific object, for example. There is a trend in society where people become fans of so-called stars. Oh, she's my favorite, and they name some person. And actually, when they focus on an object, they are really having some subtle experience. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's not nonsense. They are really hanging out photos of this object of concentration, and they are absorbing its energy, to whom they are concentrated. And because of that fact, this object has a higher level of energy than theirs. So this gives them a certain feeling, almost like an addiction, and they are forced to jump from one object to another. First, they love one so-called star, then another. This star, more often than not, if it is adequate, feels very bad. Most often, those people who become stars, they are not adequate. That is, they still live as well, not to say worse, but much more corrupt and perverted than those people who concentrate on them. They are just funnels with the purpose of draining energy, to my great regret. If there are no dependencies, no breakdowns, is it bad too? Two options here. Either your level of yoga practice is high enough for you to direct the energy flow upwards through the channels. That means that it doesn't linger at lower chakras. That is, when you're in an asana and you are experiencing austerity, the real austerity, then the energy rises automatically. And if you're not going to maintain your energy on the lower chakras through regular yoga practices, you will not have any obsessions. You will be in an adequate period of your life. Here we consider it a good version. There is a bad version. There will be a point when such an energy will come that will be tearing you apart. Actually, I didn't meet any exceptions of a man to be withstanding any obsessions or desires from a very long time. Anyone, even a yogin, will definitely face some kind of obsessions or desires. Only if you will take on such a big burden that you won't have any vital energy to survive, only in this case all your energy will go to a specific cause. You will have neither the time nor the energy for any nonsense. You will be investing your energy in something completely. Many managers, by the way, are living their lives exactly like that. Not managers, but people with their own businesses. You know, when a person has his own business and he invests resources in it, his vital energy, such people usually invest 20 hours from a day in their business and they are left with only 4 hours of a faint sleep. Those people have no free time to engage in nonsense. Firstly, they usually try to accumulate capital to a certain level. When accumulated, then the worst thing happens. They start to live fast and invest their money and time in some nonsense or a hobby of some sort. But in the end, this energy is wasted very quickly. Did you want to add something? Yes. When you feel that a breakdown is going to happen, then you just reinforce your practice. Yes, you've said it right. If we get a rollback to the lower chakras, then you increase your practice and the issue goes away. It is so. It is certainly a good thing to a certain level. You need to understand that this is coming from a yoga teacher. He has a high level of personal practice, and his audiences aren't big. This means that the teacher's level is higher than the amount of problems that is brought to him by his students. Once the number of your students will increase by 3 or 4 times, then you will have the same problems, 100% sure. That is, until your practice can burn the energy that comes to you. Someone answers. Actually, this is a very good cause to be happy, that you are given the opportunity to gain a foothold on this path. But you need to understand that after some time, these tests will occur, eventually. This happens to everybody. A new level of difficulties will come, for you to learn how to overcome it. Why do you think, for example, a person practices yoga at a certain level of complexity, and all is good? He spends 2 hours a day on their personal practices, and all is good. But after some time, he has 3 hours of practice, but the load is increasing. I would recommend to start recording yoga lectures on self-improvement, and share them online. Well, your life is still good. That is, that when different nonsense or problems will start coming in your life, your vital energy will be already invested in a good cause. The easiest option here is just start munching or eating or any other thing. And I can't say that it's bad, but only a person of a higher level can benefit the ones that concentrate on him. That is, with advanced teachers always used to organize activities such as the so-called feasts, or as they call it in Tibet, Chakra, the offerings. They fed their audience. Thus, the audience would collect their life energy because in a different case, the teachers wouldn't be able to do something with this energy. So, Vlad, rejoice that you are now in such a period of your life. I really recommend recording your lectures and uploading them online. Someone answers. Yes, you said it right. Not only with video, but through photos as well. Once something is published, immediately you are being pressed on like with a steel plate. This is a wonderful thing. Wonderful because people are concentrating on you. And if you are constantly engaging in self-improvement and you are changing your energy, then the people who concentrate on you will also experience this changing in their energy as well. When you start practicing, then you recover very quickly. Yes, this is true, but this is a bitter truth, which we all have to live with. So, friends, let's get back to the chakras. You may experience any kind of obsessions or desires or not. This is all just a bundle of accumulated motivations that were gathered in past lives or in this life. They are not only your habits that are recorded on your chakras. As I said earlier, there are categories of people who don't even have chakras. If this kind of person lived selfishly, they are reincarnated in the purgatory. It truly reflects a definition. Purgatory is what the Christians call hell. This kind of person fully is being formatted. His inner world is cleaned and purged. He is left with no habits, only pain and suffering there. When they are reincarnated in a better world, they feel as if they are in paradise. But actually, reincarnation in a human world is not that quick after the purgatory. As Slavic writings say, firstly, these souls are transformed into the level of many minerals, then the vegetable level and the animal level, and only then maybe they will reach the human world. If you don't want to get to the purgatory, start practicing austerity, which can change the flow of your energy in the body. Then everything that makes you addicted will be washed away from your chakras. Of course, only if you have the courage and dignity to live this through. More often than not, it is very difficult. What I was trying to say is, when you restrict yourself from something, when you start practicing austerity, you will automatically free yourself from your obsessions and addictions. In yoga, this kind of systems are still used. They are called retreats. When a person voluntarily leaves for a self-isolation in order to learn to control some things that we willingly cannot control. And in the society, this has taken the form of a modern prison. When a person is isolated from society and supposedly he should be reformed. Coming back to the question of fasting and the pendulum, so, if a person wasn't able to raise his energy, but how could he do it? No. He succeeded in the cleansing of his body. What was the purpose of his fasting? To clean himself, to recover, to rejuvenate. In theory, they achieve these goals, but besides these things they don't get anything, because the healthier you become, the more animal obsessions will appear in your life. It is interrelated. There is a necessity to practice yoga. Clearly, besides the practice of fasting, we need to practice Tibetan Prostrations, meditation. Would these options let us? Yes, the energy would go higher, but it's a lot. I was constantly practicing some. It means you didn't have enough energy to do it. When I was practicing pranayamas, I had a feeling that I wasn't walking on the earth, but above the ground on the energy. Yes, it was a bit scary. Why was it scary? It's perfectly normal. All the energy rises to the top and you have no obsessions or desires. You are in a state of complete satisfaction, only from the fact that you are breathing the air in. For you, breathing is the same pleasure as, for example, satisfying some passion. It becomes a natural state of being, more comfortable and completely filled. So in this case, maybe you should try again someday. But it doesn't mean I may have told you some things that are surprising or even amazing to you. That the healthier the body becomes, the more obsessions and desires it requires. But it is true. Therefore, more often than not, a disease is a counterweight in the system of a person who practices yoga. When you're sick, you're not involving yourself in any obsessions or passions, and it's normal. Why is it good? It is good because this person would be wasting his vital energy somewhere in any other case. If you want to stop wasting your energy, you have to dedicate yourself to some purpose and load yourself with work. What I advise the yoga teachers is do as much as possible, and yes, it will be hard, but at least there will be much less nonsense in your life. As they say, in a sober mind and with a strong memory. Honestly, I don't know what hobbies can. Please, name something. Music. Okay. When you are investing your energy in music and it benefits someone in a good way, then it is worthy. If your music will enlighten someone. Even if you're doing this for yourself and you are transforming heavy energies into thin, subtle ones, it is also good. But it is important how you are investing this energy. The main point here is that when living in this world, you will be forming vital energy. How will this energy be invested? Will this investment benefit someone in a good way? Okay, if you will invest in some kind of stamp collecting or any other kind of hobbies, I'm not saying collecting cars, something that a normal person would be collecting. But do you know what is the best thing you can be collecting? Adequate people around you. This is the best way. When you gather relatives, friends, students around you, a question was asked before. As I understand correctly, you are studying at a teacher's course, right? The best way for a yoga teacher to invest his vital energy is to invest it in people who only can awaken. I will try to explain my thought. Here we have yoga teachers. Before them are 100 people. There is one advanced teacher and a below average teacher in terms of their ability to convey knowledge. But you should understand that from this 100 people, not all of them will understand the advanced teacher. There are always people who need the knowledge to be given in a more primitive way, with simpler words, so only a specific part of the audience will be able to understand them. Therefore, the distribution between these 100 people will be similar to the following. The advanced teacher will be understood by about 10% at best, and the 90% will say that he is crazy or dependent, or he is too skinny or too thick, or he walks strange, or he is in a cult. People will think that he is in some kind of sect, maybe, because even in any adequate yoga teacher has people who listen to him, and 90% will say that it is bad. This 90% will be able to understand well only primitive stuff that will correlate with their level of development. This is why there should be a lot of teachers. Okay, Vlad, I personally recommend, if your life is now easy, this is not for long. In any case, the heralds of the gods will come and change your stable life. Better start to complicate it yourself, because when it will be complicated by the gods, most likely you won't like it. The best way is to complicate it yourself, step by step. What is the main point here? It is very important for a yoga teacher to find his students from past lives. This is extremely important. Your students can only be found only by you. None of the other teachers will be able to convey knowledge to them, only those who have a karmic link with you. And the slower you're going to go, excuse me, I almost said the more daft you're going to go, but actually the word is daft, that when you're not doing active work, you only make things worse to yourself and the people who have a karmic link with you. Someone comments. The sooner you start, yes, Eugene, go ahead. He comments. You are right, but this is how they will evolve, right beside you, from one life to another. Let us suppose a grading system for the level of development of a yoga teacher. On his first level of his development, he will be understood by his students from past lives with level 1, not 2, not 3, not 10. They won't even understand him. They will say that he is too primitive. The further he will grow and evolve, it is like with different steps. On step 1, you will be understood by your disciples from step 1. If someone is destined to evolve with you, they will definitely evolve with you. Someone in this life will fall off and you'll probably meet him in the future lives. It is a fact that our ability to convey knowledge changes from course to course. Those courses that we've organized 10 years ago and the ones that we are carrying out now, they have a completely different level. The people that will come are those that are connected with you. It's a fact, depending on your level of development. Let us summarize all the interrelations. I tried to explain in one version how does the chakra system affect your obsessions and desires, and specifically that your addictions determine your life. The stronger a person is addicted, the more he is constrained. You need to be, in a way, a free man, so that you could set your mind on greater goals, brilliant things, and achieve them. Dependent people are never able to reach great things. A food-related dependent person will always be tied to his refrigerator or his food table. Therefore, the yoga practice will help you change your energy flow in your inner world. It will start going up, ways it has never gone up before. The energy will start to rise. You will begin to perceive reality around you in a new fashion. As a result, new objectives will arise. Possibly, you will be able to implement them in a different way. This is possible with the help of yoga practice. There is another way. For example, you will be able to meet a man with an advanced level of practice who can change himself with the help of concentration. And so, he will be able to change the work of your consciousness or mindset. You have surely noticed this. When you open a lecture or a book, read it, and yes, you are almost enlightened. Because of what? Because of concentration on the man who did this work for you. Alright friends, our day continues. Thank you for listening.